Hey, welcome to Scry-Fi. We're Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 7, The Spies, right? So if you haven't seen that episode, spoiler alert, we're going to be spoiling every little bit of it, so watch this afterwards.
Yep.
Yeah, so just in general thoughts, we'll go through the episode, but just general thoughts of this episode, how it felt.
I think it had a lot of negative feelings about it, but it was good. I didn't like what happened, but I didn't like it in the way I was supposed to not like what happened.
Right.
It's like an Empire Strikes Back. It's not. Yeah.
I thought the same thing. Yeah.
It's the penultimate episode, so that makes sense. Now they're going to come back August, hopefully.
Right.
But also, there were some parts of it I actually didn't like in the other sense, but most of it I really liked, and I was really surprised at how much they're already projecting forward into Ahsoka and the future stuff.
Yeah. Well, they kind of did that from the very first episode. We saw the Purgil. Big space whales kind of in they hinted some stuff coming, right?
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. I don't know if we're going to talk about it or not, but also this week the Ahsoka trailer came out, and maybe we might mention one or two little things about that if you haven't seen that. I don't know if we are or not, but
I'll just say that I was thrilled with it. Thought it was just awesome, and oh my god!
Also really illustrated that you have to see Rebels before, because literally every single person they show in the trailer is from that series. So
it's like Filoni saying, okay, now I get to do Rebels in live action, basically.
Right. But in fact, I was thinking they really ought to put watch Rebels before this right below.
Or maybe, you know how they show at the beginning of the episodes, last time on whatever,
maybe
showing stuff from that. Or you know what Marvel does? They have a thing when they're about to come out with a new movie or a show. They have these little, I forgot what they're called now, but they're these little shorts that they make about characters and events.
Oh, right. They did that with the what's his name? With the 10 Rings.
They have that with a bunch of the Marvel stuff, and you can go and you can watch it, and it'll kind of catch you up or remind you about certain storylines or characters. They could do that here, but of course, we're going to always say, no, go back and watch it.
I'm sure someone's going to make a YouTube of everything you need to know before you see Ahsoka if you didn't watch Rebels.
Sure, yeah, but you'll get the best enjoyment, I think. I think you could get by. They're going to make it where you don't have to have seen it. But, they'll mention, oh, yeah, such and such happened. Just like they mentioned with Bo-Katan in this series. She did this and she did that. But I just think you get so much more out of it having seen that stuff.
If you didn't watch Rebels or read books that are no longer canon, then you probably don't know who Thrawn is to even care about any of that.
Right. And they have had some canon books about Thrawn as well.
Oh, true. But anyway, we digress. We digress a little bit, but I knew that would happen. But so this one's called The Spies, this episode, which was a
weird name.
Yeah, very strange name. So obviously, okay, so we start off at Coruscant, right? And I'm
a spy. That means that somebody else is a spy we don't know about.
Yeah, so we start off at Coruscant here. I stopped right at this frame wondering if you could read any of these.
That means it looks almost like cybernetics, but it's cybernetics. Cybernetics. It's like a slight variation on the spelling, so I'm thinking it's like a company that they're a cybernetic company, so they changed it. Kind of like when you see a bank name called Ashura, and it's not a real word, but it sounds like a. I think
whenever they say energy, but they use it with just GY, they change the spelling.
Right, it's something like that. It's some kind of cybernetics company. Yeah. And then down further, that white on the left there says play, and on the right there in the blue, it says Bronwyn, which could be a name of company name, and then the yellow says AHKQ. Could be. A lot of the signs very often are just letters. So like IBM,
Right.
would be something like that.
What's the blue right below the yellow on the far right?
That's the Bronwyn.
Oh, okay. What about the blue way off in the back to the right of the pink? Can you read that?
Oh, is it?
See what I'm saying?
Isn't that green? You mean it's above the pink?
No. Just to the right of the
Oh,
pink.
yeah. That says EDOO. Oh, it's the other way. FOOD. FOO. Oh, no,
Maybe
that
it's
last one is an N.
Oh, Foodin? Maybe it's a market. You go get your food and
Yeah, it looks like FOO. RN or DN maybe.
so
Food.
we're at Coruscant, and
Food.
the minute you see this figure, it's Elia.
Yeah, and this is a great shot, by the way. The whole scene showing Coruscant.
Yeah, you could even see
when
the
she's
mist.
walking into the alley. Go back a little bit. A little further. Oh yeah, see that sign on the far left? That's got to be a coffee shop. It says "Calf."
Oh, fun.
That's the Star Wars word for coffee.
I really like the whole film noir feeling of this. Yeah. As you know, I started writing a book once, a fan book fiction of film noir Star Wars kind of thing. It had this feel in my head as I started.
I love how the Star Wars universe is so big; it could have all these different genres. Like Andor was a spy thriller, you know, and Mandalorian is a western.
So this was surprising. I can't imagine it's okay just to have these things flying around, right? This is a Imperial scout droid.
Well, it's weird because there's a lot of things that we're seeing the universe from the point of view of the fans that see things. So I think there's a lot of things that happen. Like, for example, if you saw an air speeder, it doesn't necessarily, the snow speeders that we see in Empire Strikes Back, probably from their point of view, that's just like a general kind of vehicle, and the rebels adapted it. So we don't really know if this is like a general kind of probe and the Empire bought a military version of it, and science departments can buy another version, just like that white probe droid, that white droid in the last episode that looked like the torture droid. I'm sure it's not a torture droid on because you're 15,
Yeah, I guess so.
Maybe this thing could look like it's just somebody's science probe or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or like Hummers, for example, in our world. If you see a Hummer, if all you saw of our world were like military Hummers being used by some terrorist organization, you'd go, "That's the terrorist vehicle," But no, people have Hummers.
It's like seeing a Volkswagen 5 years after World War II. Like, it was made in Germany during that time and all, but now it's
Mitsubishi cars are, same kind of airplane to bomb Pearl Harbor.
So she meets with before that. She actually gives her TK name, which is TK2755.
I thought she gave some kind of weird code that was like.
Well, she says code TK2755, but TK is normally assigned.
Normally that's a stormtrooper, but she wasn't really a stormtrooper. I don't know.
No, I don't know. So maybe they're just using some stormtroopers thing as the code. I don't know. So she talks to Gideon here, who we knew we'd be coming back, right? And warns about the Mandalorians. It's very interesting why he cares so much about this little band of Mandalorians. I mean, even with the ships, like.
Well, apparently they know that there's a lot more Mandalorian survivors out there, which we find out later. So
this was an interesting room. It made me think of Get Smart. Like, you remember that?
Somebody needs to put that music over it. But of course, I'm thinking of the fields in Episode 1. It's a similar kind of race shield. But also, you immediately notice the cool looking little stormtrooper. I didn't realize at the time that was Beskar.
Right. Well, the thing that every time I see this in any movie or show, my mind instantly goes to what is the daily life of that dude that has to stand there for hours? Like, is that really what he signed up for? Is he
And it's
enjoying
like
it or her?
anybody who's invading the base and gets that far, you're going to already have had alarms and gotten to go know that stuff was going on. Why do you need to pay them to stand there like that? It's like when I see cops on the highway just blocking off a part of the highway with their sirens. It's like you could have had a piece of wood with a siren on it do that.
Well, it makes me think of the sorry UK, but the the Red Guard that have the big black hats in front of
it's a ceremonial thing.
Exactly. So maybe it's a ceremonial thing, but if this is such a secret base, who is this for other than him, just to feel awesome as he walks through these doors? If anything, he's heading towards a really secretive spot, the Shadow Council. You don't want anybody near it, even
walking past, by the way, all that weird cloned doodad stuff in the background.
And I was trying to get to it, but it's hard to pinpoint.
You were at it just a second ago, but the tanks with the green figures inside.
Well,
couldn't really make them out, but
there it is. Yeah, some people in there. Clearly, some kind of cloning going on here.
Yeah. Now, in that scene, they mentioned Project Necromancer. Now,
yes. So,
do we know what that is? Is that the thing that brings back the Emperor?
Yeah, so let's talk about the Shadow Council, right? There's a good picture of it.
Yeah.
So the only name we get out of it is, first of all, we get a captain. So he calls this man Captain. So you can see the 6 pips on there. So now
he was second to Thrawn in the novels, right?
Maybe. They never said his name.
No, they did. I saw something talking about it. He's a particular person who has been said before to have been the second to Thrawn.
I was listening for his name, and I went to IMDb and couldn't find a name. But he might.
I just saw a review talking about it. Maybe
he might be someone specific. Yeah, and I know that he did voice acting too, so maybe he did the voice of who he's playing now from Rebels or something. The only name that they actually give here is Commandant Brendel Hux. Which must be
Wikipedia on that. That's Hux's father.
Yeah, must be Hux's father. Which is he even has the same kind of accent.
It sounded like him, you know. And I was thinking, how old is Hux? And then I realized,
I mean, he could be in the Empire now. You would, be fine. Yeah, there he is.
Yeah. You know who he looks like? He looks like that guy from the IT crowd. That's currently in that other.
I know what you're talking about. That's funny. So he is heading Project Necromancer, and clones are all is what Gideon says his thing.
And Gideon was like, "I don't care about clones. That was your thing."
Yeah, he just walked past a whole bunch of clones. Yeah, it's funny. But so that tells me if Necromancer really is, and he brings up Necromancer because it's right after he says it's time that we need strong leadership. And they said, yes, our backup is Project Necromancer, where they're going to bring back the Emperor, right? So if that's the case, what the hell has Gideon been working on? And I think we get the answer a little bit later. But because we all kind of
wanted to put these best of, because we know what the research was now, is combining the best characteristics. Right. So you think he wanted to combine the best characteristics of Mandalorians, Jedi, whatever, and then put that inside of those troop suits.
Yeah.
And that would be better than having robots. Like he's always trying to look for ways to upgrade his forces. Basically.
Right. So anyway, it was really interesting to see the Shadow Council. I don't know if we got much more information from that.
We did. They said that a resurgent Mandalore would be a problem for their plans. And what I'm wondering is, because it's like 25 years till the First Order arrives, right?
Right.
So what I'm wondering is, were they originally planning on just kind of regrouping somewhere and coming back as the Empire from within known Imperial space. And then Mandalore rises, and they're like, let's go over to the unknown regions and do that stuff over there instead. And that could have, like, with the things that we see unfolding with Filoni's stuff, whether it's Ahsoka, Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, all that stuff, could be the thing that delayed everything, delayed all their plans. Like, they were victorious, and therefore it delayed it for another, 25 years. It could have happened a lot quicker had it not been for Mando and all his friends.
Hopefully. We'll see.
Shenanigans. They would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for
the kids and their silly Mando.
Yeah.
So he leads a hell to the Empire, blah, blah, blah. That guy was kind of cool. Yeah. All of these characters are pretty interesting, but I didn't get any names from them.
Yeah.
So now we're on Navarro again, which is good. Like Navarro. Right. But then he notices the symbol on there that is clearly Mandalorian.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, so then right after they agree to stay for their protection, they all get up and go. He's like, guys?
Yeah. Hey, I know. Whenever I saw them leaving, I was like, where'd the Mandalorians going? We still got pirates. Yeah, one of them got away anyway. I like that he's sitting in her lap now. She's like,
he definitely seems to like her.
Yeah.
He's always sitting up with her.
Yeah. She's like his aunt now or something. Favorite aunt. So you get the meeting of the two different
that was
factions
cool.
Here. That was fun. She clings her tools together and everybody respects it.
You know what I didn't expect, though, is I thought that they would go, oh, you're Vizsla, and have that would be some kind of bridge, because they had a flag that said Vizsla on it in the last episode, and they obviously know who his dad was and all that.
Instead, Ex-Woves here gives him the dirty eye, like...
Yeah, they've been eyeing each other since, through the whole thing, so...
I think it's just kind of like the whole... Hey, I'm going to look at the biggest guy around here and show him I'm not afraid of him kind of thing.
Maybe.
So Karga shows up and hands him alcohol. I like the whole idea that Karga has like what he thinks is valuable and all this stuff. Like he hands this to him and he's all the way from Coruscant. He's like, thanks. Like, okay.
Well, he respects it, but
Yeah, but it's also...
I think he drinks. He probably drinks, right?
Sure. Probably all do. A little bit. But I don't know. Maybe we'll see this pop up in a celebration or something. That'd be kind of fun. I don't know
why. He wants to go and make sure he's got good relations still with them.
Yeah. He's like trying to make good relations with them, and then they all just leave. But he could probably call on them again if there's trouble, I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay.
They've got good friends now. All right. So then this is...
this whole business. This is the part that I was referring to. I was like, I wasn't crazy about this. I thought it was a little over the top. It's definitely cute. But I don't know. I feel like it's kind of unnecessary. And I also felt like he was safer in the pod because it can close around him and it can fly. So it's not going to fall off a cliff or something. If he walks this thing off a cliff.
Well, I don't think it was designed for him to go into battle. I don't know why the Mandalorian keeps thrusting Grogu into the most dangerous
place. Well, because he's treating him like a foundling within their extremist.
The other foundlings didn't come along. The other foundlings are up on the ship. Yeah, like there's a certain level of like,
child endangerment wars.
Yeah. There's a certain level like, okay, this one's too much. There were even when Jedi had Padawan, sometimes they'd be like, nope, you can't come to this one.
Now there have been some times where he knew he was going into battle and left him behind. But I think he has to know that it's going to be a battle. And only then will he leave him behind. And if not, he's like, well, I'm doing all kinds of dangerous stuff. I wasn't crazy about the whole idea.
I thought it was cute. I liked it. I was laughing whenever he was going, yes, 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 yes.
That was
funny. Loved it.
Yeah, they did it as funny and as cute as it would be, but I don't know if I'd go that direction. It wasn't a big deal.
But I was looking for the reason for it. Like, was there just that idea popped in and they decided to do it, or did they get to a certain point where they were like, "Oh, we need him somehow to be able to do this," and the only time he ever did anything with it, other than the squeezing of the fruit thing that happens after this,
Was
the only time he
breaking up the
actually,
fight.
yeah, was breaking up the fight that we'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah.
But you know,
Maybe they just want him to be more capable, being able to grab
yeah.
stuff and do stuff, and he'll get better with like doing weapons or shooting
I
stuff.
almost wonder if they regret the growth that they like. Basically, at the beginning of this, they said he was 50 years old, right? So that means no matter what, he's always going to be this size in this series, because you're not going to go suddenly from this size to
Now, if
teenage.
we see him in the Daisy Ridley movie,
Yeah,
that's 80 years later or something.
yeah. Well, no, that's maybe
Oh no,
30
it's
years
30
or
years
something.
later.
Yeah,
So
30
he'll
years
be
later.
yeah.
He
So
could be
he'll
a
be 80.
teenager by then. He could talking
Absolutely.
teenager.
By the time he's
then.
80, I would think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
We know that Yoda started teaching Jedi at 100. So.
Yeah. But I wonder if some of this stuff is because they regret that they made the age parts so slow that now they can't do some of the cool things they want them to do. I don't know. I think they need to put a jetpack on the back of this guy though.
That would be cool. He needs to be able to fly for sure.
Yeah.
With all this cliff diving and stuff.
Keep up with everybody, right?
If nothing else, just so that he doesn't crash at the bottom of the cliff after they collapse or fall out or something.
Yeah. Plus, he's also not interacting with, like, they got in a fight, he just got down. I mean, where's the pick him up and throw him over the edges and crush thing? That,
I know it'd be cool if he learns how to do that. And also, it needs to have a chest thing that closes to protect him inside of there.
I mean, he does have the armor underneath. We know that.
Yeah, and it's probably stronger all around the sides than his little crate was.
Sure.
But,
oh, yeah, I'm sure IG-88's armor is pretty strong.
Mm-hmm.
Or IG-11 and IG-12. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so back at the Mandalorian camp, they're sitting there, they're being dicks and punching each other a little bit with eyes and stuff. But she does the whole speech for volunteers, and
I was trying to figure out what that beast was. I don't think it's anything we've seen before.
Oh yeah, I know, where they're cooking it on the fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, this thing. I don't know what that is, but it looks kind of gross. I wouldn't eat that.
That could be good. Barbecue. Mandalorian barbecue.
Yeah, she asked for volunteers, and of course they start doing the volunteer thing. This is kind of like whenever they had the cave thing about who's going to go to Navarra or who wants to go to, they talked about
it's about the typical people I would have expected to volunteer.
Yeah.
All the main characters.
So this was pretty cool to see all of them leaving Navarro. Right for the picking for pirates now. It was a weird thing to establish a home and then just leave it immediately, but I get it.
Well, they could always head back there if they need to be supplied.
This whole scene was kind of cool because, you see this in Rebels, right? And I think at the end of Clone Wars as well, like you see some scenes with them doing this. So it's fun to see it in live action.
Yeah.
All drop out and land and secure the landing bay area or the landing pad. Everybody starts walking until they come across this cool thing.
Yeah, that was neat. A neat idea. They ride this thing across
sail barge
across the flats.
I mean,
I thought it was a little strange that they've probably been doing this for years and years and years, and then just on the day they show up, they happen to get destroyed.
Yeah. Well, they may have kept to very safe areas, and now the forge is a dangerous place.
Like they knew where the forge was, and they didn't used to go there.
Yeah.
But you think they would have said something like, "We'll take you to the forge, but it's kind of dangerous." But
well, they're also Mandalorians. Saying something like that might be like, "Yeah, we're Mandalorians. Of course, it's dangerous." Yeah. So I thought it was pretty cool that these guys showed up and were immediately loyal to her. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very neat how they look too, like all disheveled and stuff.
this guy's even like, we failed you, but we're still here to continue to serve you, kind of thing. That was cool.
From their point of view, the whole thing is like this post-apocalyptic world they're in. After a disaster they've been surviving in.
Yeah, imagine you've been say the U.S. goes all post-apocalyptic, and you've been surviving on your own for 5 years, but you mostly kept to your ideals, and then
there was this group that was on the moon that
leaders that you respect show up, and you're like, oh, part of the let's get to
that's what's interesting. It's like if Star Wars had never existed, they could have made a movie about these guys whose world was destroyed by a far off empire, and now they're surviving.
It'd be fun. So looking at so they're on the sail barge talking at this little dinner thing. He was a cool character. I never got a name of him.
I hope we see more of him.
IMDb just has him as the Mandalorian. I'm like, that's not the Mandalorian, but he's a Mandalorian.
Mandalorian number 12.
Yeah. But this is where Bo-Katan says that she surrendered, which was pretty interesting.
Yeah, she said that they had already destroyed their forces, but they hadn't yet obliterated the planet.
Right. It was after
she goes and says, "Okay, let our people alone." She does all that, and then they obliterate the planet anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
So it sounds like she didn't really have a choice anyway. She was trying to save lives.
It was bold of her to say that right then and there with them.
I know. And for her looking at her and all this stuff.
At least they know now that she's going to be honest with them no matter what.
Yeah. I think it's respected that she's sharing this when she didn't have to. And you can even see as she starts to talk about, I don't know if I'll get the clip here or not, but you can even see her second, it's not her second in command, but what's her name? Cosca Reeves.
Oh yeah.
You can see her kind of like, no, don't tell him, like she knows, and they've probably said before,
what are you doing?
Don't tell him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like that we're seeing a new Bo-Katan here. That's ready to walk away in her vision of it. So this scene.
This is my favorite scene of the whole episode.
Yes,
right?
Agreed. And she's kind of, should I have done this? I feel bad, going over the whole.
She didn't know that Din thought of her like that.
Right.
She's shocked because, he's from the Watch, and, she's not even a real Mandalorian according to Din. So she probably thought he still felt that way. But...
Yeah. This scene where he says, loyalty, honor, all that stuff. These are the reasons I serve you, Lady Kreese, and he does the kind of thing like that. I was like, wow, is this kind of like she's the Mandalorian? Like, is this no? Like, if you think about it, if you watch the whole series, once it's done,
some people say, what if Grogu is the Mandalorian? Because and we skipped over it, but the part where Grogu separates the two, it almost feels like these are the early tales of the legend when he was just a baby, already doing. You know what I mean? Like someday it's going to be the Jedi Mandalorian hybrid ruler leader.
Sure.
So, but I think there's a lot of Mandalorians in this.
I think
a lot of heroes who all did their part.
I think if you're a fan of, like, if you're a fan of the Rebels, even Clone Wars, Rebels, and then you watch this, and then once they're finished with this series, and they say that they're going to do a movie to cap it, directed by Dave Filoni. When they do all of that, I wonder if the Mandalorian isn't Bo-Katan, because you get to see her story for 30-something years.
Mm-hmm.
Go from all, and Death Watch all the way up to leading and losing and becoming, finding her way. Like, her story is real growth. Right?
Yeah.
It's a huge arc.
It could be, but I think they're going to make it where it's never really nailed down to one thing. If you're a fan of Din Jaren, then he's the Mandalorian. If you're a fan of her, then and you watched it through Rebels, then she's the Mandalorian. It's like, who the Mandalorian is kind of like it's like the Buddha. It's not a particular
right. But if you're just watching the Mandalorian series, it's like watching Star Wars episodes 4, 5, and 6. You think, oh, it's Luke Skywalker's story. But if you watch episodes 1 through 6, it's Anakin Skywalker's story.
Right.
And I think this is part of her story, but it's also Din Djarin's story. You know what I mean?
That's cool. Yeah, interesting.
So yeah, that was one of the coolest moments in the whole thing. So now the next day they're going along. This guy doesn't do his job as far as I'm concerned. He's sitting there looking through his
he says something coming,
Yeah. Well, before that happens, okay, they're playing some game. I don't know what this game is. Looks interesting. I don't think they've ever
Star Wars chess.
Yeah.
Whatever, some kind of chess-like game.
Yeah.
They should have made it the Jarek or whatever.
Oh. Yeah, what's funny about that, it makes me think of like Monopoly. If you take Monopoly to someone else's house, we don't play with free parking. Everybody has their own little like adjusted rules kind of thing.
It makes
like
sense that
you should have talked about before you played, but
yeah.
And as usual, Paz Vizsla takes it to the next level where he shouldn't have. He's a little bit of a hothead. They do some fighting. I think Paz is kicking Axe's ass again.
I would expect.
This guy needs to stop accepting challenges.
Axe is thinks he's a little better than he really is.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, he's still pretty good. You see some cool moves and stuff.
They're all incredibly badass.
But this is the moment where Grogu stops him with no kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's the only time he actually needs that body. So they could have written around it. So I think they're going to need this body for something else. They need him to be mobile. We'll see the next episode.
And maybe he'll get better and better at using that body too.
Yeah.
Doing cool stuff with
it. They're moving along. So this guy's looking through his macro binoculars here, and I mean, he sees things.
And they have stopped, turned around, or turned away from that area.
Yeah, they could have gone around it just easily, but he's like, "Oh, this looks bad," and then they have time to put on their helmets and get ready. Like, you could have turned around.
Well, they didn't expect it to be that bad. Maybe they thought something would come up and they'd go fight it.
You didn't have to come right next to it.
That's pretty bad. In fact, I thought it was going to be a mythosaur at first.
Yeah, I know. It's not a mythosaur.
But it's just as bad, it looks like.
Yeah. I did like that both Paz Vizsla and the Mandalorian just go and grab Grogu immediately, just nod at each other and fly. Like, there was no, hey, can you help me with this or anything? Like, this is the way. He helped him with his son. He's helping him with his.
Yeah, and any younglings that were there, I'm sure they would protect us.
Yeah.
If it was possible.
So they walk into a trap, obviously. We knew that was happening. Of course, it's weird that none of them have thought that there might be Imperials here, because they already knew that there were ships around, a warlord's near here somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I said in previous episode,
these are where the fighters came from.
Yeah. And I said in previous episode, I think the one where we saw the fighters, I think there might be a hidden Imperial base here, and it's going to end up with them fighting in it. And well, there we go. So these guys were pretty cool, though.
Yeah, they're good. They
Dark
weren't
Trooper,
as good. You could tell they were very good, but they weren't as well trained as the Mandalorians. But with the equal arm and everything, it was a very formidable.
Well, they are Dark Troopers, so we know those are more specially trained, and they're wearing the Beskar armor, which is pretty cool.
That's going to be a cool action figure.
Yeah, I got to get that one. So
I like how the helmets, they look both Mandalorian with the middle thing, but they also look like skulls.
Trying to get a good picture of the helmet. They're at this point they're being thrown around. Yeah.
We'll see.
All right, so then they walk in, they find the base. There you go. Yeah, that is cool. And then he comes down, Moff Gideon, and finally we get to see that helmet, which is cool.
How do you have a jetpack and a cape? I'm not sure what's going on back there.
The jetpack's on top of the cape, but you would think it would burn the cape, right?
Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
it's really a jetpack and not a rocket pack. Ooh.
Yeah, it might be a flame resistant.
Yeah.
That's why their capes are always frayed and kind of burnt and stuff at the end.
If I was going to wear a cape, I wouldn't wear a cape in battle. But if I was going to, I'd want it to be flame resistant, especially since there's a bunch of Mandalorians with all their little flame things.
Yeah.
And you could use it. You could put it up like this.
I would also want the cape to easily pull off with about 5 pounds of pressure.
So you're not going to
somebody grabs me by the cape, I just pull it free. Yeah.
Yeah.
So his helmet has the little spikes. Did you notice that?
It does have some. Is it just 3?
Like whenever they follow Darth Maul? No, it definitely has spikes.
I doubt it's asymmetrical. I think it probably has 2 in the back and 1
there.
Oh yeah.
It's got a spike here, spike here, spike here, like the Darth Maul crown ones that they had.
Interesting, but also somewhat like the armor.
Yeah, it's also black and red, which is interesting.
Maybe little points on top mean I'm the supreme head honcho person.
Well, I don't think we ever saw that until Darth Maul took over Mandalore for a short period of time, and the people that followed him had, especially one of them, had the spikes on the helmet to kind of emulate Darth Maul, right?
Yeah,
so it's really interesting. I obviously this design must be attached to that somehow. Maybe he just really liked it, or maybe it looks like a crown.
Maybe just horns look cool, and they do it. Yeah.
So they actually captured Din.
Oh, right there. Go back. The TIE Interceptor, when they were showing it hanging there, and I'd never seen this before, but the wings of the TIE Interceptor, it showed it compressed, and then they go out like that.
Yeah.
And I never had seen that happen before. I didn't know they actually could do that. I guess it takes up less vertical space. It's like in real life, the airplanes that the wings fold when they're on a aircraft carrier, so they can stow
or
them.
Tidarian shuttles. All these, even the Mandalorian ships, they fold differently. It's kind of a common thing in Star Wars.
Now the Tidarian shuttle, or the Lambda shuttle. I'm pretty sure that those wings that it has are where the anti-grav systems would be, the stabilizers, and that's what it's using as its anti-grav stuff.
I like that you can see the red controls glowing in here. That's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure these are the exact TIE interceptors we saw before.
Probably, yeah. And now he has TIE bombers. And he sends them after the fleet, so we know we're going to have a fleet battle at the beginning of next episode. He captures everybody here. I guess this was I would think that you would want to crushing walls or something. More people to come along.
I don't think he built that for that purpose. It just worked out and said, wasn't in there.
No, but he knew he was going to trap them there. That was the trap, right? And it worked out pretty well. Other than the fact that she had the dark saber, he reminds her of it, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I can cut through this."
I know.
Strangely, she cuts the other way to retreat.
Yeah, but there were so many in there. We saw how many more came after that.
Yeah, and Paz Vizsla by himself killed them all, except for the Praetorian Guard.
Yeah, I wish he had thought of it earlier and been able to cut her way in front and save him.
They could have continued through.
Now there's going to be a whole thing with him.
Yeah, so now we get to this unfortunate scene, but was pretty awesome scene.
Yeah, I like the idea of the gun overheating.
Because it's either going to run out of power or overheat. Um, and I guess that's after a while. He takes a lot of hits. They hit him, but he's just like, nope, I don't care. You hear him grunt every now and then, like maybe one or two got through a little bit, but he's fine. And he takes on everybody, man. I mean, another wave comes and he just takes them all on. He's awesome in this. And then, of course, Praetorians show up. And when that happens, you're like, oh, okay. I could be that
was
soon.
A good character. It's a shame.
Yeah. I know. I liked him a lot. And do you notice that these weapons, which look very similar to the weapons you see in episode 8, these weapons go through the Beskar armor in the chest.
I thought they were jacking it in between his plates.
One of them, but the first stab that he gets in the stomach actually goes through the armor. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like he has to push through it. Like he has to really get it in there. But that's rough. And we've talked about Beskar before, that some things are more pure than others. So I think like Din Djarin's Mandalorian armor is like pure Beskar, whereas I think probably his is probably not super pure. And
it's thick though. It's very
thick. Definitely thick. But yeah.
Yeah. There's going to be an epic scene with those red guards again, I'll bet.
Yeah. So that's how we ended the episode with Paz Vizsla gone, unfortunately.
It was a downer. But I think that's the setup you want before your big hoopla at the end. So.
They've captured Din, which I don't know why he captured him, really. I mean, there is a sense of Moff Gideon certainly likes to be a what do you call it? A villain. He really likes to be a villain. You can tell.
Another thing too is that they don't necessarily know everything going on with the Mandalorians. It kind of surprised them that they had gotten together. So I wouldn't be surprised if he wants to just question, what do you know? Where are y'all based out of? Where, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, shouldn't have caught him one that follows the way then, because he's not going to say anything.
Scary.
Might get the mind frayer out. That could be bad.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, or maybe he just wants to clone.
The doctor doing it. Dr. Pershing is the one doing it. He's all like,
he's all fried and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
That would be cool. I hope we didn't guess a spoiler for ourselves.
No, I think he's just some mindless guy that's like sitting in a cell or something. And now I
don't know. Maybe they're totally okay after, but they just don't remember who they are. And it's like somebody with amnesia and they go on.
Yeah, he might still be back at his little monotonous job and be okay with it now. Because he's lost all his knowledge or whatever. I don't know.
But it was very interesting, though, to hear that Council of Imperials, and it obviously referencing all kinds of stuff that we're going to see in the future series and all that.
Yeah. And this has been a fun series. This season has been really interesting.
Mm-hmm. I suspect the movie that Dave Filoni is doing, and I've heard other people say this too, that they think it's going to be like an Avengers where you take. By that time, we will have seen Ahsoka and Mandalorian, probably Book of Boba Fett, and that whole Filoni verse of that little era of Star Wars all come together.
Oh, the Rebels and Rogue One.
Thrawn, probably.
Yeah. What was that? Oh,
probably against Thrawn.
Yeah.
Or maybe against something that sets up the beginnings of the First Order in that.
Yeah. Hopefully Gideon will be taken care of by then. We'll see.
One thing I can definitely sense that Filoni is doing is, we all know that the Emperor coming out of nowhere in the third sequel movie was just kind of like completely out of nowhere. It wasn't led up to very well or planned ahead very well with the 3 movies. So I think what he's trying to do is create a trail of dots leading up to that, so that later, if you were to watch all this in order, it would work a lot better, as a whole.
Sure. Sure.
I think that's a fine thing to try to do, because it needs
Yeah.
some extra buttressing.
Yeah, I almost kind of. Whenever it was first introduced, the whole what he's doing, why he wants to, why Gideon wanted the child, and all that stuff, I was a little weary of it because I was like, I'd rather Filoni be left to do what he wants to do instead of having to tie himself to Episode 9's really weird setup and stuff from the beginning,
Right, but I think Dave Filoni cares about Star Wars as a whole, and so if he sees something like that going on, I think he's going to want to try to, just like he's done before with the Clone Wars, filling in the gaps between episodes 2 and 3 makes everything about the prequels better.
Yeah.
So I'm all for that, really, because there's no way they're ever going to, change those movies or anything like that. So if you didn't have as much as you should have had leading up to the Emperor, then this is a good way to do it. Come back and fill it in the series.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the episode. That's the 7th episode, The Spies. Oh, let's talk about that real quick. So it's called The Spies. Obviously, Elia is a spy. Why is the spies in? You know what I'm saying? Like,
okay, so if there are spies amongst the Mandalorians, that could be a thing. What if it's a spy amongst the Imperials?
I don't think the Mandalorians are that. Maybe like a New Republic spy or something.
Yeah. What if there's a New Republic spy inside one of Gideon's forces? But we didn't see anybody. They would have seated you with somebody. They would have had somebody next to them.
Right. Yeah. It's very weird to call it The Spies and then only have one spy at 5, like 1 minute before the whole thing. And then the whole thing is really about returning to Mandalore and falling into a trap.
Wait a minute.
Ambush.
Okay, so Gideon got the information of what was going on from what's her face?
Elia.
Yeah. Elia. And okay, because I was going to say, where did he get the information about them hooked? And she got it from New Republic reports.
And probably some reports from Navarro. I'm sure they have people on Navarro talking to her.
What if there's a New Republic spy in the Mandalorians?
In the what?
In the Mandalorians.
Oh.
And they're not to do anything like bad necessarily, but just to kind of keep tabs on what's going on out there.
I don't know what impact that would have, though.
Well, remember
what's a New Republic?
Remember when what's his face? Who's the guy with the gray beard? Goes back and he reports on Coruscant that the stuff's going on.
Oh, Captain. It starts with a T. I can't remember his name now.
Yeah, but he goes back and reports, and then the cool comedian guy I like, his name Tim Meadows, his character says, "All right, we'll look into it," and takes the thing. And it sounds like he's just brushing them off. But what if they really are going to look into it, and the way they look into it is like they've got a person on the inside, and then that could be a person that maybe calls in some New Republic reinforcements at some point.
But we didn't guess. But we didn't cover the fact that X-Woves did get away right whenever stormtroopers showed up, right? So he flew up to warn, I guess,
is he the one that went back to get the ship?
Yeah. So I think he flew up to warn the fleet. So either he'll warn the fleet in time before the other ships get there, or he'll get destroyed on the way there because now TIE
fighters going back to get their ship to come and get them, so that they have a way of opening the Imperial base.
Oh yeah, I guess so.
Because they rode that.
Well, then he'll be there to pick them up whenever they start the thing. Yeah, I guess so. It was weird that they had to cover me and him get out there. Usually that means you'll see him again coming back and doing a thing, and we didn't see that. So
yeah, that's why I think it's still going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows?
Oh, and we
This
still
season
need
has
a
done a good
mythosaur.
job of surprising me every episode.
We still need a mythosaur, so we got to see that mythosaur at the end of this episode, right?
They're gonna fit that in.
Well, they escaped, and they're going to go, what are we going to do about these Imperials? And she'll go, I have an idea. Let me go get a
Let's go get killed
mythosaur.
by a giant monster.
Let me go wreck all of their stuff with a giant mythosaur. There was a big opening at the top of it, so
Do mythosaurs fly?
I don't think so. No, I don't think they have wings. Do they?
No.
No, they don't have wings.
Hmm.
They're just giant, dinosaur things.
Hmm.
But and probably very difficult to kill, I'm sure. So yeah, maybe she'll rise up with the mythosaur, and Mandalorians all go to it. I don't know. We only have one episode left, and it feels like there's so much more to go. Like, is that episode going to be 4 hours long? Which is a welcome
This
idea.
one was over an hour, right?
No, it was only 45 minutes. About
Okay.
47 minutes. Yep.
Oh, that's not too bad. But yeah, I hope it's long.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's this episode. Next episode will actually be a little bit late because I'm out of town, so it'll be a few days late. But yeah, we'll share our thoughts then.
And then we'll the season as a whole as well. So.
Right. Cover the whole thing. So thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you later.